Hello, this is Chad Phillips, the City of Spokane Valley. I am the project manager for the Ridgemont Estate project. I would like to welcome and thank all of you for attending this public meeting. Go ahead and turn it. Joining us is our members of the Osborne Consulting Team. The City of Spokane Valley has contracted with Osborne Consulting to provide services for the project. I'll turn it over for introductions.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. I'm Josh Van Wee with Osborne. I'm the project manager on our end here for the consultant team.
And I'm Sophie Nespor. I also am a civil engineer for this project.
And I'm Brendan Doohan. I'm a project engineer for Osborne.
To begin this discussion, let's talk about the project timeline. The project timeline begins with defining the project objectives, and the project objectives are defined by the common conditions in the area. Those common conditions are failing roadway conditions. Okay, next. So here is a project vicinity map exhibit. As you can see, you got Sullivan Road to the left. Up above, you have 16th Avenue. To the right, not labeled, is Chapman Road and Morningside. And the lower boundary is defined by 24th Avenue and even a little further south than that to the city limits. So this exhibit is showing the pavement condition index. The pavement condition index is a snapshot of the health of the pavement of the road. Now, this is a process that the city does every couple of years citywide. The pavement condition index is rated on a scale from 0 to 100 and then color coded as it's shown on the map. As you can see in the legend, those streets in green are excellent all the way down to gray, which there are none on this exhibit, but down to gray, which are fail. And then everything in between from good, fair, poor, very poor to serious. So the objective of this project is to improve the roadway conditions of those roadways that are red. That would include Veracrest, Ridgemont, Conklin, Timberlane, Sonora, even Steen. Steen is not labeled, but perhaps Steen and perhaps some of the secondary roads that are also red but not labeled, such as 20th Court and Conklin Court. Next. So here's an example of the roadway conditions. This is Veracrest, I believe at the intersection of 20th Court. These are the type of conditions that are being referenced to relative to this project. As you can see in this picture, there's a lot of alligator cracking. Typically, when you have alligator cracking, the roadway is moving, it's either sinking or heaving or it's moving somehow, and you get that type of pattern. Okay, so that was the project objective. That was in the past. We are now at the project study, and this is where we have brought in Osborne Consulting to help us out. So in this stage of the project, we will be identifying those conditions that are resulting in the failing roadway conditions. So is it our groundwater conditions contributing to the roadway conditions? Probably. Is the existing stormwater system contributing to the failing roadway conditions? Maybe. So as you can see in the project study stage, we will be identifying existing site conditions, We will be looking at a geotechnical evaluation to assess the groundwater conditions. We'll be doing a public outreach similar to this and more. We will be doing a hydraulic evaluation to evaluate the existing stormwater system. And then ultimately, we will go through some design alternative developments. This part of the project, the stage of the project started in 2023. It is currently ongoing and should be finished in the fall of 2024. Moving ahead in time will be the final design. So the city will take the preferred design alternative that was developed during the project study and develop engineering plans and develop a construction timeline. Construction will then follow. The timeline for construction has not been determined and is dependent on city council approval and appropriate funding. Okay.
Thanks, Chad. Now I'm going to talk about a little bit of the existing site conditions. So in the initial stages of this project, we evaluated historical records and reviewed citizen complaints, helping us gain an understanding of these existing site conditions. This information, along with the municipal boundaries, were used to define our project area, which can be seen in black. The team's field visit took place in the orange area seen in the figure. This allowed us to compare historical records and past designs with the existing system, and we were able to observe how the water flows through this system and take a closer look at some of the complaints we received from the public. We will be discussing these tasks in more detail in the following slides. Slide, please. So we have completed our topographic survey. We finished gathering field data that will help us determine how water is flowing through the roadways. This will be used to facilitate the development of our hydraulic model. By evaluating the historical records, we reviewed old plan sets showing us how the roadways and stormwater infrastructure was originally designed. This helps us understand what each function of the existing stormwater system is intended to serve. We have completed reviewing all complaints. We have completed reviewing all complaints submitted prior to January 2024, and we invite any more observations or complaints you may encounter in the future to help aid our design decisions. Next slide. Our project team has done a field visit. All parties involved in this project were able to walk the open channel ditches, infiltration ponds, and roadways to get an idea of how the existing system is functioning. We've observed surface water conditions by inspecting roadways in the area by providing insight into where stormwater infrastructure may be failing. The team observed how surface water reacts during significant rain and snowfall events. Next slide, please. This map shows some of the problem areas that we've identified. This has been aided by the surrounding community submitting drainage concerns. So you can see in the legend, the higher priority items are red. These were defined by longer term and more impactful conflicts, while the ongoing minor issues seen as the pink are lower priority items and are associated with short-term and smaller maintenance conflicts. The orange dots are ones that our project team has observed in the field during some of our visits. By submitting these drainage concerns that you might observe in the area, this will help our team identify and address these issues during the design process. Next slide, please. This shows the overall drainage patterns in the area. So the higher elevations are present in the southeast portion of this map, which causes water to drain towards the 2 ponds located at the base of the hill in the northwest region of the map. These ponds allow the water to infiltrate into the groundwater. Problems arise when the water fails to reach these 2 infiltration ponds. Our hydraulic evaluation is conducted by building a stormwater model to determine where the system is undersized or failing, installing flow monitors as seen on the map to help record flow coming through main drainage pipes. This data is then implemented into our stormwater model, which will help size our proposed system. Slide, please. So we're currently observing the existing system. Observing this system helps us throughout different seasons and storm events, helps us document these with various pictures and photos, aiding our decisions. The flow monitoring process is also ongoing. By measuring the flow coming through critical drainage pipes, we are able to observe how various storm events impact flow conditions, helping us accurately size the proposed system. And the proposed system design is where we start drafting alternative solutions to improve the overall functionality and ensure the new roadway's lifespan. I will be handing it off to Sophia to talk about some of the geotechnical evaluation.
Thanks, Brennan. So yeah, the city and Osborne are working with geoengineers to complete a hydrogeologic review of the area outlined in black and on the slide, as well as a geotechnical analysis within the fieldwork area shown in red. And in these next slides, we'll share more about the testing geoengineers has performed and their findings. So let's go on to the next slide. So shallow pavement cores were drilled into the existing pavement to evaluate the pavement section and their subgrade conditions. And the engineers found that much of the pavement sections had varied greatly in thickness, and some of the worst spots are some of the older parts of the roadway where the compacted subgrade and the hot mix asphalt layer are very minimal. And these samples will help us determine a more adequate section needed for the new pavement to maintain its proper lifespan. And then in this middle photo, this shows geoengineers' conventional drill rig, which is for deep boring explorations to determine the soil layer characteristics and their hydrogeologic condition. And we'll be showing a profile of these layers found underneath the Ridgemont neighborhood in just a minute here. But geoengineers have also installed monitoring wells that are in designated locations to record the groundwater levels and temperature during storms and seasonal fluctuations in precipitation. And the initial data shows that the groundwater elevation is consistently increasing in response to significant snowmelt events and rainfall events. Next slide here. And then additionally, geoengineers has completed drywall testing and infiltration testing. The drywall testing that was done around the Radco Pond and on 24th Avenue. And the infiltration testing was conducted at the large existing pond along 16th Avenue. And these tests will help us determine if there's enough capacity in these existing facilities to reroute some of the stormwater away from the project's drainage problem areas. Next slide here. So this is a general overview of the soil profile underneath the Ridgemont neighborhood. If you look at this aerial view of the project area, there's this line in red highlighted in yellow, and that's where the geoengineers cut a soil profile section, which is much like cutting a slice of cake along 24th Avenue and Veracrest Drive. So on this right side here is the profile, and this the big thick orange layer below the surface is the Columbia River basalt group, which is a very hard rock layer of old lava flows exposed by the Missoula floods. And then the green layer above it is another impermeable layer of sediment deposits made of clay and silt and sand associated with the Latah Formation. And then in that little shallow pocket of yellow is glacial fluvial deposits, which is a fancy word for infiltrative gravel and sand. And this is that pocket there is where groundwater is present underneath the neighborhood, and this perched groundwater level is highly sensitive to those seasonal fluctuations in groundwater recharge and short-term precipitation events. And this area is essentially behaving like a bathtub that fills up and needs somewhere to spill out, and instead seeps out into the ground surface and disturbs some of the pavement that you've seen in that area. And it's likely that this is the primary driver of the groundwater impacts that the city has observed throughout the study area. And then looking back at the aerial view, geoengineers delineated a line in purple that kind of shows where west of that area is where kind of the deeper infiltrative soils are. And this is right below that Ridgemont neighborhood at the bottom of the plateau or hill where that 16th Avenue pond is located. So next I'll have Josh talk about the project design alternative development.
Yeah, thanks, Sophie. So I'll talk a little bit about the designs that we're developing right now. We're still kind of in the initial phase of developing concept designs, and how that process works is we'll come up with several designs that we think might be viable alternatives. We'll work with the city to refine those, and then we'll get to a point where we select a preferred alternative. And really in the big picture, our designs are trying to address these problem areas that we showed earlier. So you can see them again here. We know there's a number of higher priority and ongoing types of problems in the Ridgemont area. So we want to develop concepts that will address those issues and just have a more permanent solution. So for the concept designs, we have currently a few ideas that we're starting to work with. These are all kind of in the initial phases, so these are not necessarily the designs that will move forward for the project, but we have some ideas of different ways to improve the roadway drainage system. We know there are some dry wells that have failed and some other drainage conveyance that's not working properly. So we're going to be looking at those. There's also a number of open channels that go through the neighborhood, and they kind of cut between people's yards. Sometimes through someone's backyard, there will be an open drainage ditch that's conveying flow. And those are areas where there can be a potential for interaction between the water that's flowing on the surface and the groundwater, either water seeping into the ground and filling up that bathtub, or water coming back out of the ground and causing extra water to go down through those channels. So that's a big part of what we're looking at. And then we expect that there will be some type of new conveyance system. So maybe some new storm drains that take flow from some of the problem areas and deliver it to the areas with better permeability soils that can infiltrate that stormwater runoff. Our schedule, we're getting into this alternatives analysis now, and it will be going kind of through the summer, and then we hope by fall to have a preferred alternative selected. Also through this process, we really would welcome any feedback from the public, and we'll talk a little bit more about that too on these next couple slides. So public outreach has been another big part of the project. We want to engage the community and keep people involved that live in this area and that use these roads. So to start that process, we developed a community involvement plan. And from that plan, we were able to develop a project website. So that's live right now. You can go online and find basic information about the project, some maps, and then we'll be posting project updates to that website. We also have a feedback survey and a mailing list that we'll talk a little bit about. Part of our public outreach is to reach out directly to homeowners in the area by sending mailers. So many people have received these mailers already. These have gone out at the beginning of the project. And these just kind of give a general background on the project and then some links that can point you towards the project website. The project website, like I mentioned, is live online, so we would definitely encourage people to go on there. This is what it looks like here. So, you know, there's some maps and information available there. We also are interested in collecting people's, if people are interested in receiving updates directly, you can enter your name and email address on the project website and sign up for a mailing list that will send updates throughout the project. And then we have a feedback survey that's posted on the project website too. It's just a pretty short survey asking for any feedback about the neighborhood and any drainage and roadway issues. So you can navigate to the website, click on the survey, fill it out. It should probably only take 5 or 10 minutes. And we would really love to hear feedback from people. The information that we collect on here will just go towards supporting this project. It's not information that will be shared publicly in any way. So I will go ahead and pass it back to Chad to wrap us up here.
Thanks, Josh. So we're hoping that this presentation was helpful and gave you an introduction to the project. We're hoping to provide more of these opportunities in the future as we hit different thresholds along the project path. So for now, we're definitely interested in any comments that you might be able to present to us that you are aware of. That would certainly help us moving forward. And all of that is available on the website. So for now, thank you for joining, and until next time, thank you. Bye.